It's Nerdorama Retro Nostalgia time. In part 1, I introduce you to all of my new soldering equipment, and as you can see, we got all of the LEDs soldered onto the board. In part 2, I'm going to complete the project and see if everything works. Thanks for joining us, and let's jump into it. I'm going to move on to our capacitors. So the great thing about the capacitors is they don't have a polarity, so I don't have to worry about positive or negative. I can put them in any way. I am going to have to try and be careful on the underside because the underside is going to be visible. So I'm going to try to do really small solder dots. And I've had a practice already, but they're very easy to bend. Just about like that. And they slide in very nicely and sort of conform to the shape that you need. Of course, I'm going to be careful because the last thing I want to do is break any of these. And then they do just sit in quite nicely. I might adjust. There we go. Might bend it out slightly so it just holds in. We'll try one first of all, and then let's see how the others go. Flip over my little board. I'm going to bring it here so it's close to me so I can see it. Right, soldering iron's heated up. Just get a dab of solder on the tip just to get us started. Good, it's nice and melty. Okay. So hold it here, trying to heat up the little pad and the leg. Oh, that looks nice. I'm very happy with that. Sounded a bit more a rose. I'm very happy with that. That looks nice. Let's see how we go with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, heating up. That also doesn't look too bad. Let's give it a little snip, snip. I don't mind that. That look, for me, that's pretty good. I'm going to have to say for myself. All right, let's get the other capacitors. They're not capacitors, they are resistors. I'll try and use the right words. Look, it's not exactly centered in the middle. I'll see if I can do a better job centering this one. That looks a bit better. Let's see if I can put more than one in and it's not too crowded. Looking at the tip, it should all be nice and silver, so we're going to clean it in a little bit of flux. Let the flux just do a bit of melty. Pop some solder on. Wipe off the solder in our brassy brass. There we go, we're nice and silver again, which is good. Just pop a little bit of solder, ready for the next part. Okay, let's do the next 4 over here. here are our resistors. Remember, this side is visible. I'm pretty happy with that compared to how my soldering started. So resistors are done. I'm probably going to move on to the socket next that goes in the middle. So we have this socket we have to solder in, and then the chip that'll sit in the socket. And I do know that it's very important that the chip lines up the straight way. So there's very little ridge in here, this very little ridge in here. So when I put it in, the chip must go in the right way. So, and there's going to be quite a lot of pins we need to do. So let's get going. So we've got the little notch here on our PCB. I have to double triple check that I do line it up with the notch here. What I did learn here is the pins have to be exactly in the right alignment, and as they'd been sitting in the foam and had travelled overseas from China, quite possibly some of my handling as well might have bent them slightly. So it's really, really important that they are all correct, otherwise they're not going to slide in. Now, very sadly, I actually lost some footage and I have no idea how I've done it. So unfortunately, you won't have the footage of me soldering in the socket, but here's a picture to show you how nicely it actually turned out. And we're going to pick up from me adding in the tiny, tiny soldering points for the USB connection. I might even try bringing in my old magnifying glass, which is, maybe it needs to be closer. All right, I guess that helps me a little. All right, yeah, we're going to do that, and I'm going to have one eye shut. Okay, all right. One behind it, here we go. Come on, bit of melt, that's all we need, just a bit. Okay, all right. Let's do this middle one. Am I touching it? That's a bit, my depth perception is not great with one eye shut. Our USB power socket is in. We have the switch and this little thing to go, and then we're ready for testing. All right, let's do the switch. Switch will only go in one way, which is good. Yep, sits in nicely. The thing I like most about the switch, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm just going to check the picture on Amazon, because that's all I have to go with, because there's no instructions, that make sure that these pins, longer pins, are sticking out the top, but I'm pretty sure they do. Yep, we definitely have the big ones at the end. So I'm just going to tape it down, flip it over. We'll go from this angle, I suppose. Going to start with that top one. I feel like it's going to be the trickiest one to get to. Okay, tip needs a bit of a clean. Give it some flux. Gonna let the flux just do its thing. Smoke away, get nice and hot. Get some tin on it. Give it a twirl in my brass. There we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, three, 4, 5. Nope. One, two, three, 4, 5. Okay. If everything has gone to plan, all the bits are soldered in. The last thing we need to do is just put the chip into the socket. So let's do that. Here we have several minutes of me attempting to get the chip in. So the big challenge is the legs need to 100% line up. As you can see, they don't. And of course you don't want to force anything. So I spend quite a bit of time trying to flatten out the legs, trying to look at individual pins to double check that they are going into the socket correctly, because it's supposed to be very snug in the socket, but obviously I don't want to cause any damage. So I try using a screwdriver on the individual pin. I try pushing the chip down flat on the table to try and balance everything out. Okay, little bits are going in. So yeah, this is sort of starting to go down this end, but my top end is not happy. So you can see here, we're still a bit wonky on this side. Still wonked. I hope I haven't bent any of the legs inwards. I believe this is designed for getting chips out. Alright, so the chip came out. Yes, as suspected, as I suspected. Yes, that is a no. Okay, so we were close. Let's get this leg. Hopefully, it's still strong enough to be able to go back in without being completely bent and breaking. Okay, lesson learned. If it doesn't feel right, it's not. Yes, and also down in here, that doesn't look too correct. So hopefully that will still make contact, but if we do have catastrophic failure, at least it's potentially this socket. Right. So I might start with the bad side this time. Now with a lot more care and a lot more attention to detail, slowly, I work on getting the chip in the socket, and then eventually we do get the chip in without bending any of the pins in on themselves. This is a 100% live test, everybody. I've not tried it yet. Here is our cable. Let's get it in the right way. All right, slots in. I'm just going to be using this little power brick here. Plug it in. Now, I think the switch is in the off position, so power brick is on. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. It's, oh, wow. Oh, let's turn the lights off. Oh, this is so satisfying. I'm so happy. here is where some instructions could have really come in handy. So overall, it did take me 50 minutes to install the case. So there is only one way it can go together. Eventually I did figure it out. But the most challenging part was the tiny, tiny screws with the tiny, tiny little bolts, because the bolt has to sit in one side of the case and then the screw has to screw in. And if you move the screw too much, then the bolt falls inside the case. And repeat, repeat, repeat. But eventually I did get there. The only mistake was I did put the back cover on upside down. It does have a little slot that's supposed to line up with that 4-pin connector. But after spending all of that time doing it, I didn't change it. So don't tell anyone. But the end product still looks very, very nice. Okay, let's clean up everything, plug it in, and see what it looks like with its pretty case on. There you have it, everybody. I'm absolutely thrilled that we got this up and running. To tell you the truth, I honestly can't believe that it's working, and it looks like all of the LEDs are actually glowing. I learned quite a lot during this experience, and even more excitedly, I'm now going to be able to hopefully resurrect some of my old retro technology. If you hung around for the whole video, thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like, please give me a subscribe, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, as I know there's lots of things that I could have done better. Thank you so much for watching again. Thanks to the people that have been here from the beginning. Thank you to our new people, and stay tuned for some more Nerdorama retro nostalgia. Bye!